Are you ready for the mini-boss of this dungeon? Once you swim through this passageway, you'll come up to the surface. You want to climb out of the water, and the way back will slide shut behind you. Straight ahead, you'll see two tadpole-like things that fall from the ceiling. These new enemies are called Todos, what a dumb name, and they look very similar to the Toad-Polies that we saw earlier, which would also explain the name. They swim around, and if you aren't careful, they'll swim right into you, so you want to avoid that. Look up at the ceiling from where they came, and you'll see a short clip of the mini-boss, Deku Toad. It'll turn around and make a noise at you, before releasing itself from the stalactites and falling to the floor. It's all big and nasty, and it just looks downright slimy. I recommend avoiding hugs, as that would be kind of gross. You'll see that its back is covered with more of those Todos, which it will shake loose and send them after you. You want to defeat them using spin attacks whenever possible, because you just wait for it to recharge and use another spin attack. These things tend to be pretty close together, so you can often kill several of them at a time. Then you just want to Z-target and use regular sword slashes to pick off the stragglers. These guys can be pretty annoying, and you'll probably get hit a few times. Luckily, I'm a ninja, so they never hit me. You'll then see Deku Toad's other attack, which is to jump up to the ceiling and attempt to land on you. You want to avoid its shadow and simply roll out of the way as soon as possible. It hits the ground pretty hard apparently, since it will be stunned for a short moment, giving you the perfect chance to come and harm it. You want to run around to the front side and smack its tongue, which is its vulnerable spot. Occasionally, it'll belch or whatever, signifying that it's charging up to shake off more Todos. If you're fast enough, you can actually shoot a bomb arrow into its mouth, which it will swallow, causing it to be stunned once again, and giving you the perfect opportunity to get more sword slashes in on its vulnerable tongue. The rest of the battle progresses the same way, with it alternating between those two attacks. He's pretty easy, so you shouldn't have too much of a problem. This battle is actually very similar to the mini-bosses Gecko and Big Eye from the Great Bay Temple in Majora's Mask. Like, frighteningly similar. It's a cool progression for a mini-boss, but it's still a new face on an old foe, only easier this time around. Once you defeated it, it will thrash around and spit up a large chest shortly before it explodes. What a way to go, huh? I sure would hate to explode. Run forward and open the very slimy chest to get the Clawshot. It's an improvement of the version of the hookshot found in previous Zelda titles, which now has a little more functionality this time around. This item will allow you to reach distant areas by grabbing onto things that look clawable, I suppose, such as targets and vines, but it can be used on enemies to stun them briefly as well. With that in hand, you want to go back and leave this room by heading over to the very obvious exit. You'll see that there's a brightly colored circle thing on the roof of this passageway, so use your Clawshot to latch onto the target. Notice that your cursor changes when you are hovering over such things that are Clawshotable, so you'll know before you ever use the item whether you can latch onto it or not. Also make note of the fact that you can raise and lower yourself while attached to something that is hanging from the ceiling. This particular target opened up the gate and thus allowed us to go through the door and get back to the previous room. Now that we're back in this familiar area and have the Clawshot in hand, we are faced off with an enemy that is very vulnerable to Clawshot and is just begging to have us test it out. You want to Z-target the Helmasaurs and use your Clawshot to remove their protective armor, which you can then toss at them to cause some additional damage. After that, their entire soft body is exposed, leaving them vulnerable to your sword. Defeat them if you like, then grab any recovery hearts and rupees they may leave behind. With that, you want to return to the south by heading through the other door. Now our objective is to simply return to the main room in the center of the dungeon. You can hop down into the water and such if you like, and then work your way up the vines, or you can use your Clawshot to attach to the several targets or patches of vines along the way. You'll notice that off to the south is a passageway we have yet to enter. There's actually something really cool in there, but we can't do anything about that at the moment, so just remember it for now, and we will return here later. Here I'm going to show that you can latch onto several points to get back, and you can climb along the vines along the ceiling as well by moving with your analog stick. We'll do that in a future room here in a moment, but for now, it's not really important. Enter through the door to enter back into the west bridge area, and work your way all the way back across to get to the central chamber. Once again, there may be a Helmasaur along the way, you just want to ignore it and continue on to the main room. The way these Helmasaurs squeal kind of makes me think of pigs. Squeee! Once you return to the main room, you'll see a short cinema showing new water that is flowing into the room. Because we made water begin flowing from the upper west area of the dungeon, it flows all the way here to the main room and fills up the bottom of the central chamber a little bit more. This will actually come into play much later in the dungeon, so don't worry about that too much for now. However, the flowing water itself is very important. You want to climb up the stairs and get to the upper portion of the room, then work your way counterclockwise along the room, going along the north side, and you'll eventually get to the upper west side. Kill any Tektites that get in your way, and up ahead you'll see that there's that water that's flowing that I was talking about here in the upper west side. The water is currently flowing off the ledge and falling into the center of the room. However, we can now use the bridge to change the direction of that the water flows. You want to use your Clawshot on the target here in the upper west side. This will act just like one of the levers and will rotate the bridge around so it is facing towards the east, allowing the water to flow into that portion of the dungeon. Now before moving on, you want to stand still and look up at the giant chandelier that is in the center of the room. Notice it has several targets in each compass of the direction, which you can use the Clawshot to access. Get on top of the chandelier and open the large chest to find your first of the 2 pieces of heart found within this dungeon. If you've been following the walkthrough thus far, this should be your 16th piece of heart. Next, go ahead and jump onto the bridge and allow the water flow to take you down to the lower east side of the dungeon. Go on through the door, which water is now flowing under. You'll see that once we enter this lower east bridge area, the water flow is actually moving the water wheel that is in the center of this area, which was stationary before, thus allowing you access to new parts of the dungeon. You can kill the Tektite along the way, but it's fairly easy to sneak past it and avoid the confrontation. Once you go through the door on the other end of this room, you'll find yourself in a new, large area that is filled with several keys. You can kill them with the bow from a distance if you like as well. There's some more of these platforms that are connected to the giant gears, which obviously will turn later on. Defeat the keys that get in your way, and then you can use your Clawshot to latch onto the target that is off to your left, which you'll see is conveniently placed just above the platform. So kill the keys that tries to attack you here, and then you can open the small chest that contains more water bombs. There's an overabundance of water bombs found in this dungeon, which is ironic since we hardly ever use them at all here, but I suppose it's good in case there's some people that are just really water bomb happy. They like to blow up things underwater. With those in hand, you want to face towards the north side of the room and use your Clawshot to latch onto the vines that are against the pillar. You can climb around to the side of this platform and land on top of here and use your Clawshot to continue scaling up this very obvious path. For this next set of vines, I like to actually latch on pretty high so that I don't have to climb as much, because climbing takes forever in this particular game. Climb over here and fall onto this platform on the left, and then from here you can actually turn around before continuing on, and you'll see there's a platform that is hiding off in the distance. Latch onto the target on the wall, and open the small chest to get a red rupee, which is worth 20. Woohoo! You're rich! You want to continue back to the platform we were just on, and then you can use your Clawshot to access the vines that are on the northeast corner of the room. From here we can actually access a new area that we have yet to be in. So as you'll see, we fall onto this platform, and then here are those northeast vines I was talking about. So latch onto them, then climb your way over. You can't actually latch onto that target that has the lamp on it. I don't know why they have these ones with lamps on them. Anyways, go ahead and enter the door. So once outside, you'll find a chew worm, which we can now defeat very easily by using the Clawshot to pull them out of their water globe thing. It's kind of pointless, but it's very vindicating, so you can slash that guy up if you like. Next, you want to head over to the far east side of this outer part of the room, and you'll come to some geysers. So you want to shoot the stalactite that is suspiciously hanging above the right geyser using a bomb arrow. This will create a platform. After that, you obviously want to climb on top of the platform, but this one apparently hates my guts. So I'm not really sure what the problem here was. I was standing right next to it and pushing against it and everything, but it just kept not working. So, how unfortunate. Anyway, once you finally make it onto the platform, you want to jump down into the new area, right through this little passageway, and kill the 2 Tektites that get in your way. After that, you want to simply use your Clawshot to get onto the next platform, which is too high for us to climb otherwise. That's about all the time I have for this video, so join me for the next one, and we will continue our way tackling the east side of the Lakebed Temple.